Welcome back to Second Breakfast. We join you on a special Monday episode to talk about Monkey Man.
This was so good.
As you know, we love Dev Patel. The first breakaway Tuesday episode we ever did, because we used to just be Fridays talking about fantasy books. The first Tuesday breakaway episode we did was for The Green Knight.
That's right, which came out in 2021. Yes.
I still think that's one of the most astounding fantasy and indie drama A24 movies that's ever come out.
I loved that movie, and he starred in that.
He's the anchor of that movie, and he's just phenomenal. So we were very excited for Monkey Man, and we saw it the other night, and it was just wonderful.
I was so nervous because I had pretty high expectations because I knew this had been like Dev Patel's big passion project. It was supposed to be like his version of John Wick, and I loved Dev Patel, and so I had really high expectations, and I was so nervous that they weren't going to be met, and they were met and then some. It was so much fun.
And he broke all the bones in his body while he was making it because he's one of the writers. He's also directing and starring in the movie. He broke one of his feet, I think, and one of his hands, and they had to redo some of the choreography to account for
accommodate.
One of the crew members died of a heart attack during production. It was a fairly tough, grueling production. And so we wanted to see it anyway, just because we really like him as a performer. But it happens to be one of the best, freshest action films I've seen in a long time. So I think action films, more than most other genres, really exist in a lineage. They're very much, they all feel like they're building on each other. There's this ongoing conversation they're having with each other. And I want to talk about how I think Monkey Man is interacting with three of the greats of the 21st century. So that's how we're going to structure the discussion.
Sounds great.
And then we're going to spend some time on the big new ingredients that Monkey Man adds and innovates on top of that formula, which I think makes it so special.
Perfect. Are we going to spoil anything?
I don't think so.
Okay, great. Yeah, let's plan not to.
But the headline is that Monkey Man's fantastic. It's great, fresh action. It's got this grit. Axiomatic.
Yeah.
It's got this grit and speed to the action scenes. Like, even you and I in the car on the way home, we're talking about how messy the movie feels, how unflinching and crunchy and visceral.
And dynamic. It moves around so much. The camera is so in motion the entire time.
And that reminds me of John Wick. Let's start there.
Yeah,
because
that's the biggest, most obvious comparison. I mean, I said it a minute ago.
And that's almost the way the movie was pitched and marketed.
Right, like it's an action revenge story with this one guy, and he's just really going for it and messing everybody up.
And we like John Wick. I think the first one's the
John
best.
Wick. Yeah.
Because the story is so core to the character's heart.
Yeah.
I think the first one's always going to be the best because it's the most meaningful.
Right, and then it has to like expand and diverge a little bit. And it's still fun. Like, we loved 2, 3, and 4 so much, but the first one is by far the best.
The purpose sort of dilutes over time.
Yeah.
And I think the craftsmen behind John Wick, and I'm including the director, the fight choreography, even Keanu Reeves, the fun of the sequels is watching those people get better and better and more masterful.
Yes.
Because they have such control over this world that it feels like they're daring themselves to do more intricate and gigantic. They're playing with scale at this point, but there is a mastery of craft. And I think that makes some of the later John Wick movies feel very clean.
There is because they're so choreographed.
Yes, exactly.
It's like a dance. It's a beautiful performance, and it's so fun to watch. But it starts to feel sort of, way beyond reality. You know.
And those like accolade words that I was throwing at Monkey Man at the beginning of the episode here: grit, speed, messy, unflinching. None of those words I would really apply to the most recent John Wick movie.
Right, no.
Even though he does get beat up all the time and lose fights.
And it's very bloody. It's not like there's no blood. It's not clean in that way. It's just so like smooth.
Yes.
You know?
There's a lack of smoothness to this, which I think is very much to its credit.
I agree. I think it really works.
Like, at this point, we're talking about John Wick. There should be a stunt category at the Oscars to recognize the laps that this crew is running around the rest of the genre. But I think Monkey Man brings me back to the first John Wick.
Yeah.
Where they had something to prove. Yeah,
exactly. It's a little bit more gritty and a little bit more just...
hungry?
Yeah.
Daring? Risky?
Hungry, scrappy. Yeah.
He's scrappy. That's a great word to transition to the next one I wanted to talk about, which is Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
Bourne Identity, I still think, is the It's got to be up there with the best action movies ever.
I love the Bourne movies so much. They're so good.
And it was such a revolution that I think maybe more than anything else we're going to talk about, it changed the face of action.
Definitely.
Look at the way it affected the James Bond franchise, right?
Right.
And that first movie, I'll never forget when Matt Damon kills a guy with a pencil.
A pen, a ballpoint pen.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's so scrappy.
Yeah, he's just like, they're in this apartment and he just has to use what is there.
Yeah.
He doesn't pull out an amazing, like this giant gun or a really cool knife. He's like, oh, what's on the coffee table? A blue ballpoint pen. And that's what he uses.
It's down and dirty. It's desperate. It's creative in a way that isn't funny.
Right, yeah, it's not goofy. It's not, ha, I killed you with a pen. It's like, oh my God, he killed him with a pen.
And if you look at the way that franchise progressed, I'm mostly talking about the original trilogy because that's the best part.
Absolutely.
The camera is so active.
Yeah.
To the point that it crosses over momentarily, mostly during that big car chase in the Bourne Supremacy, into feeling like found footage.
Yes.
There's a sense of shaky.
Shaky cam, handheld. I can't remember which movie it's in. I think it's the second one, when the camera follows him as he jumps through a window.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that is such a amazing work of cinematic magic, and it's so much fun, and it makes you feel so in it, and it feels so immediate and alarming and scary and like real. It's really, really good.
And I felt that same just infectious energy in Monkey Man.
Yes.
The camera is so active.
Yes, and there is a lot of that improving of grabbing random things to use as weapons, and what do I have in this room with me? Like, how can I use this fish tank or this sink or this toilet? It's really, really interesting.
The impacts almost shake the camera. Not in a gimmicky way, but you feel the impact in a way you don't in most action movies.
Right, yeah.
And
it hurts.
There are scenes that are chase scenes. Like, everyone remembers the car chase from Bourne Supremacy. The chase about, I don't know, halfway through Monkey Man that starts in the club and goes through into a car chase.
Yeah.
That had such an escalating desperation that
Yes.
it not only did it remind me of my favorite parts of the Bourne movies, it reminded me of like Curb Your Enthusiasm because everything was going wrong.
Yes. And that's what was so fun about it. It wasn't just, he's this really, really cool guy who's like, you know, Jason Bourne and is an absolute master at doing what he does. Instead, it's a guy who kind of knows what he's doing, but really doesn't, and is just screwed.
It's taking the scrappiness of the lead character as almost a writing prompt, where you have to put them in more and more horrible situations and just see how the hell they can get out of there.
How it unfolds, yeah.
He tries to hide in a spot in the movie, and a guy runs out of nowhere with an axe, trying to kill him for
and
hiding.
Like, oh, here's another problem and another problem. Exactly.
It's awesome, and it's not played for comedy.
No, it's really not. It's like funny in that it's like, oh, of course, but it's also very serious and very scary. I think that's the other thing that Monkey Man pulls nicely from Jason Bourne is that groundedness and seriousness, because John Wick is inherently funny and goofy and stylized. The premise is that he's killing this organized crime unit because they killed his puppy. Like, it's a little silly and funny, and Keanu Reeves has like just that campiness to him that's perfect. Monkey Man is still stylized in its visuals, and even in the action that happens is crazy, but there's still such a groundedness to it as well, and there's a bit more seriousness and like gravitas to his motivation, because it's also a revenge story, but it's a lot more serious than you killed my puppy.
Yes, it's much more Jason Bourne than it is John Wick.
Right.
And I think that's another thing that really reminded me of the Bourne identity in particular while I was watching it. The way that character has amnesia, and through the course of trying to figure out what is Treadstone and all these different government conspiracies.
Who is Jason Bourne? And
Matt Damon trying to find out who he was and who he's going to be. I loved the slow reveal of that backstory.
Yes.
And Monkey Man, Monkey Man does it differently by, there's this drip of almost his origin story of what put him on this road to revenge. So you're on board with the action and you're slowly learning the meaning behind it.
Yes,
but
it's very cool.
It had that same breadcrumb feeling, which was so magnetic in the first Bourne movie.
And I got the sense that, I won't reveal what that backstory is, but I got the sense that he hadn't forgotten that, but more that he hadn't really confronted it and processed it in his own mind, but that he sort of does that over the course of the movie. So as the stuff is revealed to us, he is processing it more fully. I thought that was all done in like this really nicely unspoken way. It was just really good visual storytelling.
Yes. The third ingredient I wanted to play with here is Tom Cruise, the one-man action industry. And I really love that part of the marketing for Monkey Man is Dev Patel's body being destroyed, making the movie. And
right, because Tom Cruise is this like doing his own stunts guy, so that makes sense.
It's the resilience that I admire. It's not that I want people to suffer for their art and be in the hospital.
No.
But the resilience is something to be respected.
And the fact that he was so committed to doing so many of his stunts. I'm sure at some point there's a stunt guy there instead of Dev, but he's doing a lot of it, you can tell, and I really admire that.
And as a first-time director, I think this is absolutely remarkable. But not just the behind-the-scenes stuff. On camera, as this Monkey Man character, he's being beat up constantly and losing fights in a way that reminds me of Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Because Tom Cruise has never had that, I don't know, a perfectionist sort of, where he has this image of himself where he has to be the most powerful guy in the room. We talk about The Rock and Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise.
Vin Diesel.
Yeah. I think Tom Cruise is more relatable and enjoyable because he just keeps getting back up after getting demolished 50 times in every movie.
And he's like 5'7". Like he's like this small guy, and he is doing these amazing things. He's incredibly like the actual man, Tom Cruise, is incredibly fit and skilled. And then often the characters he's playing, especially if you think Mission Impossible, he's doing amazing stuff, but he's still a human being who gets knocked down. And that balance is really nice. And I think Dev Patel is achieving that balance here too.
I mean, the number of things that should kill him in this movie.
Yeah.
But it just makes you care about him more.
Right.
And the stunts, some of the work in the car chase, and obviously in the last 20 minutes that I don't even want to vaguely talk about, the speed of those stunts, the daringness of those action set pieces. It was just incredible. I was smiling through almost this entire movie. And like Tom Cruise, the Tom Cruise industrial complex, mostly Mission Impossible, there are flashes of fun and moments of humor.
Yes.
But the drama and the central conceit, whatever the revenge story is, the mission, is taken seriously.
Yes.
I think Monkey Man has a similar balance.
I totally agree. I think the other similarity too is that, Tom Cruise is so successful at those movies that he's doing because he's just so fun to watch on screen. He has such a really good presence. He's incredibly charismatic and interesting to watch, and he's giving a really dynamic emotional performance. And Dev Patel is doing the same thing here too. He can carry a movie, as we've seen him do in other movies before, but he's doing it, in this particular way, I think really, really well.
So what are the new ingredients that Monkey Man brings to the table, apart from the Jason Bourne, John Wick, Mission Impossible lineage?
Right.
I think the first one we have to play with is the setting.
Yes.
The culture, the traditions, the spirituality, the politics.
Yes, the entire thing takes place in India. It's about, Dev Patel is this Indian character, of course, and it's all about what's happening over there. And in Western action movies, you don't really see that. Sometimes you see, like in Jason Bourne, he's going to these other countries. He's traveling abroad, mostly in Europe, doing things, but the main focus is on our American hero. And here, of course, the focus is on an Indian hero, and it's really fascinating.
And particularly the way the cultural traditions are presented. I found them fascinating. Every time the movie slowed down from an action set piece to get to know these characters in this world and the outsiders, and I was so enthralled by that. I think I can see some mainstream audiences thinking that this movie's sort of uneven because it's not action wall to wall, but I think it's much better for that.
I agree. Again, because there's a seriousness to it. It's not just about fun, boom, boom action. It's about the story and the characters and the emotions.
Because in the beginning, I just wanted it to be like all the other movies I like. But by the end, I was so invested in these characters and this story and the earnest, interesting presentation of this culture that when it went back into action mode, it wasn't just that the movie was cool. The movie was interesting.
Yeah, right. And the setting too had such a strong sense of place, and it really added to the style of the movie. Like I said earlier, it's like visually it's quite stylized, but they're like rushing through these like really brightly lit, colorful cities, and then when you tie it with the interesting and to our Western eyes, unfamiliar mythology and religion. And then you mix in with, like, there's this one point where he's in this temple with these people, and there's a really fun it gives it such an identity and a really like specific, unique quality compared to other action movies.
The clothing, the festivals, it was just all interesting and new. And again, I think that contributes to why this felt so fresh, where I can enjoy something like Jason Statham's The Beekeeper. We talked about that on a previous episode.
We did.
That was fun.
It was.
But this was so much more engaging for me.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
And I think a lot of that compliment is a credit to the second big new ingredient that this movie adds to the action formula. And that's Dev Patel.
Sure.
As writer, actor, director here.
Yeah.
We said at the beginning how much we love him historically. He's such a fantastic performer because he's soft-spoken and powerful. There's just a magnetism to his presence on screen, and I think he's a wonderful, wonderful hero.
He's a perfect underdog because he's not like this loud, outspoken, booming guy. He is really tall, and he's got a really distinct face and look. But yeah, he is kind of, especially his character here, this character is written for him. Like, it's perfect for him. He's kind of quiet, he's kind of underdog, but you don't want to underestimate him because he is also incredibly powerful and interesting. And of course, he's taking on this identity of the monkey man, who is like a figure in Hindu mythology. And so that sort of gives him this surreal, supernatural, almost divine presence and power, but in this like subtle way, and it's perfect for him.
It reminded me a lot of his turn in The Green Knight in the best possible way, because when I say soft-spoken, I mean that the dialogue has a certain restraint to it where he doesn't have to narrate his internal emotional monologue.
No.
His face, his choices, there are so many choices in his performances, which sounds like a dumb thing to say, but I just think he has the ability physically to communicate a level of thought and feeling that is rare for any actor. There's this sense of yearning. Yeah,
he's really good at giving a great emotional performance. One of the things I've also seen him in was Lion. The movie itself was fine, but he was really, really good. He gave this wonderfully emotional and powerful performance. And a lot of that is just the things he's able to do with his face. Like, he's obviously has demonstrated in Monkey Man that he's an incredible action hero and can do this amazing stunt work and be really, powerful in that way. But he's so good at his face.
And it's never mindless action, even though this does have some of the gnarliest, best kills in any action movie.
It does.
This year, this decade, I don't know. There's always this depth of feeling behind the action scenes. It's this full-bodied, full-hearted commitment that he's giving to this character. It was just, I don't know, the whole crowd loved this movie.
There were so many moments when, like, in between those action pieces, either like gearing up for something that was about to happen action-wise, or just, the aftermath of something, where he's not saying anything. And because he doesn't really have any allies, at least for most of the movie. So he is having to do a lot of this on his own. And so you can see just on his face what he's thinking about, what he's planning, what he's worried about, what he has control over, what he doesn't have control over. It's quite an impressive, I think it's like the combination of his face acting, but also the visual storytelling and the where the camera focuses and when it comes back to him and how it's looking at him and how he's seeing things. Again, there's a surreal quality to a lot of this, and it's just done really beautifully. It's an incredibly well written film, and I mean that in terms of like the dialogue, but also just the way the story is put together and the way things are crafted. It's told very well.
I just had a wonderful time with this movie.
Me too.
I felt like I was dodging bullets in the seat. I was having so much fun. I was so invested. I was so interested. I was affected. I loved this.
This is my favorite kind of action movie. Like, I love a good Jason Statham or like Fast X, like goofy action movie. Like, those are really, really fun, where like the writing's terrible, the acting is absurd and over the top, and like the action set pieces are ridiculous and just, bombastic. That's really fun, and I love that, and I respect that. But this was a bit more serious, but not like so serious that it was just Jason Bourne, which I also love. It was a perfect mix of style and substance, and I was really impressed by it.
One day we'll do an episode about James Wan and Kevin Bacon's Death Sentence, because I adore that movie, and I think it fits that criteria.
Have I seen that?
I don't sure I've made you watch it. John Goodman is the cool arms dealer.
Maybe I watched it a long time ago.
It's awesome.
I'd have to rewatch.
It's so gritty and early 2000s and earnest. It's really cool.
Cool.
Anyway, Monkey Man's fantastic. Go check it out.
It's
Let
in
us know
theaters
what you
now.
think about it.
Yes.
Yeah, you can drop a comment on YouTube, or you can email us secondbreakfastpod@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought of the movie, if you picked up anything else, what you think of this lineage of action movies. Is there an ingredient we're missing in trying to track this lineage?
Yes. Are there other movies that are sort of in this same vein that we haven't mentioned that maybe we need to see and check out? Like, I'm always trying to backfill my my movie studies, my cinema history.
Yes.
I want to understand everything. So
you can also drop a comment and contribute to the conversation over on Patreon. $2 a month. You can support the show, get access to at least one bonus episode every month, and the whole back catalog of 2 years of bonus episodes we've piled up over there,
including our discussion of Beekeeper. That's in the Patreon.
Yes, that's in one of our breakfast buffets,
yes.
which is sort of roundup episodes. They're about an hour long, where we talk about a bunch of, at the time, usually recent works of art that have affected us in some way or spoken to us. And as a little teaser, we have a buffet coming up this coming weekend over on Patreon. And the theme, it's the first time we're doing like a theme, grouping together a bunch of movies in this case. Some we've seen recently, some we've been filling in some gaps lately in our film knowledge. And what is the theme of this sixth breakfast buffet?
Female body horror. It's going to be so much fun. It's an episode for the girlies. It's going to be a good time.
I'm so excited.
Me too. Oh. So get pumped for that. Maybe you can guess below what we're going to talk about. I won't tell you here, but cool. Well, yeah, check us out there. All the links of everything are in the description of things. You know how the internet works. Go see Monkey Man, please.
Thank you for listening. We'll be back here tomorrow with a discussion of Children of Dune.
That's right.
The third book in the Dune franchise, and back on Friday for the next chapter in our ongoing Game of Thrones discussions.
Toodaloo.
All right, that's a lot of housekeeping. We've got a lot of episodes coming out.
Sure do.
It's fun. It's a full court press over here at Second Breakfast. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.